Lecture 8, Buddhism and Sex. Buddhism varies from most theistic religions in their attitude towards human sexuality. While the most advanced form of Buddhist practice is as a monk or nun, with no sexual activity added, the Buddhist approach to lay sex, no pun intended, is liberal and practically laissez-faire. Discerning reality in the present moment, we are clearly able to see that many people are hurt by sex. Venereal disease, emotional upsets, betrayals, among a few examples. In the Buddhist rulebook, non-harming is the first priority. Therefore, sex is accepted as healthy and a vital and skillful part of life, unless it is engaged in heedlessly and without mindfulness. The third of the 5 precepts, taken by all aspirants to Buddhist refuge, asks us to refrain from committing sexual misconduct. Of course, these precepts take the form of voluntary, personal training goals, not commandments, as there is no punishing external God. Sexual misconduct is any sex that involves violence, manipulation, or deceit, or any sexual behavior that leads to suffering. Buddhism is concerned with sexuality only to the extent that it is mindful, non-harming, respectful of feelings, and in the context of relationship, not whether either party enjoys looking at erotic images or whether the relationship is between same, similar, or transgender humans. However, the Buddhist imperative of honoring the body and not misusing sexuality makes one aware of the harm inherent in much pornography, including the exploitation of its subjects and the dehumanization of its users. Homosexuality is not explicitly mentioned in any of the Buddha's discourses. Therefore, we can conclude that it is meant to be evaluated in the same way that heterosexuality is. With respect to gender, Buddhism has an arguably admirable record. Buddha was the first great leader of a major religion to sanction the full ordination of women into monastic ranks. While they were not precisely equal, Buddhist nuns had the full respect of both the monks and the lay community, and were included in all forms and levels of practice. In some of the many ethnic envelopes we find contemporary Buddhism manifesting in, equality between monks and nuns and between lay men and women are still in development toward that early ideal. What drives the progressive change, even to this day, is that values such as freedom and equality are intrinsic to Buddhism. Without the freedom of self-determination, a human being cannot make the choices resulting in progress on the path. What equality means in Buddhism is that all living beings are equal in their essential orientation to life. All living beings fear pain, death, and suffering. All living beings want to stay alive and enjoy happiness and security. This equality could be called the great universality of Buddhism. On the basis of this equality, we are encouraged to act with the awareness of reciprocity. That is, just as we would not like to be killed, robbed, abused, or discriminated against, so would all other living beings not like to have these things happen to them. One way of assessing the different Buddhist traditions' views on gender and sexuality is through their monastic guidelines. In the first accounts of some 227 Sangha rules, available to us in the Patimokkha, monks and nuns were forbidden to engage in sex, genital, anal, or oral, with a human being or a non-human being. In addition, monks were not allowed to cause the voluntary emission of semen, or to discuss sex with women, or to lay down at the same time in the same lodging as a woman, or to have any conversation at all with a woman after sunset. There were strict limitations on contact between monks and nuns, but mostly the rules were about protecting the community of bhikshus, or nuns, from harm and abuse. In the 21st century, there are ongoing changes in the Theravadan tradition. The Sri Lankan Buddhist Vihara of Los Angeles just began to fully ordain women as nuns in the late 80s. One prominent nun, Dhammananda Bhikkhuni, formerly Chatsumarn Kabul Singh, who wrote extensively on sexuality and Thai Buddhism, tells of her dilemma on how to receive an ordained transgendered woman into the nunnery. Since in Thai Buddhism generally what you are born as is what you are, and the ordaining of transgendered men is not officially condoned, Dhammananda Bhikkhuni was not sure where to put her new nun, as her gender status was still being debated. Zen Buddhism particularly is not inclined to deny the reality of basic human impulses, including sexuality. As sexuality is a normal, healthy aspect of human existence, Tibetan Tantric Buddhism includes techniques for bringing mindfulness into it. Some recent Tibetan teachers and several colorful Zen masters have been open to using any and all available methods, including sex, as a skillful means to point their students towards realization. Some of the most respected teachers have also been known to cross the line and commit sexual indiscretions with their students, including Zen Roshi Richard Baker and the Tibetan masters Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche and his Dharma heir Ursel Tenzin, the latter of which was known to have spread AIDS to young male students. The inconvenient truth with respect to mindfulness and sex is that to desire another person sexually requires an enormous leap of faith, overlooking the fact that the bodies that we crave so much also emit excrement, urine, pus, blood, sweat, and tears. This was in fact how Buddha trained his early disciples to diminish their interest in sex. He instructed them to spend time at the burial grounds where bodies of the dead were prepared for burial. Sex is a powerful force in every living being. It is inherently neither good nor bad, but it can certainly create problems. Mindfulness is the key. Aware that there are no prohibitions in Buddhism helps us understand that we are free to make the best choices we can for ourselves. Even a moderate degree of mindfulness applied to our sexual desires can produce surprising results. If we learn, with non-attachment, to watch our desires at play, it is often quite astonishing how they seem to drop away, almost of their own accord. Thank you.